East Hampton Town Board, we are live.
Thank you, LTV. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the East Hampton Town Board work session of Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Carol, if you could please read the roll call.
Present. Present.
Present.
Member Caldwell.
Present.
Supervisor Burke Gonzalez.
Present. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So today we start our meeting with a public portion. We ask you to kindly keep your comments to 3 minutes, and then we're followed by our work session topics. We've got bids, we've got a discussion of East Hampton Town right-of-ways. We have a presentation and update from the Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Center, and followed by a county request to lower the speed limit on Long Lane. That will be followed by liaison reports and then resolutions. So before we start with public portion, I just wanted to read a brief statement. Last Monday, there was a federal law enforcement activity in Amagansett that left community members unsettled. As we later learned from Police Chief Michael Sarlo, this operation was part of a federal criminal investigation involving multiple agencies. It was not solely related to immigration. While details remain with federal authorities, we remain focused on maintaining a safe environment for everyone who lives here, as public safety is always our top priority. And now we can begin the meeting with public portion, and I believe the first one signed up is Jane Meering. Welcome, Jane.
Madam Supervisor, I might need an extra minute-ish if you might indulge me. Thank you so much. Good morning, Town Board. I'm Jane Meering. I'm speaking as a full-time resident of Amagansett and a concerned citizen of East Hampton Town, but not representing any of the town committees or appointed board in which I sit. All 5 of you and many others are aware over the past 4 or 5 years, I've engaged in various town issues, focusing my attention and advocacy, especially on matters of balanced land use and sustainability and resiliency of this place and of our local community. I'm here today to share with you that I will be focusing my efforts more intensively going forward on community housing issues. And to do that, I'm proud to announce the founding of the East Hampton Community Housing Trust, or EHCHT for short. EHCHT will be an independent, not-for-profit organization with a singular mission to create, steward, and sustain in perpetuity stable, quality, economically attainable housing for the year-round residents of the town of East Hampton. EHCHT will be grounded in the practices and principles of the established Community Land Trust, or CLT model, that has been used over many decades in the U.S. to address housing displacement and empower under-resourced community members. When people hear the term land trust, they might just think about only open space conservation. However, the mandate of the classic CLT is to acquire parcels of land and upon that land create and sustain affordable housing. Beyond its not-for-profit status and deep commitment to stewardship, several key elements perpetuate affordability and differentiate a CLT from other types of affordable housing development. One, a CLT acquires land, either raising funds or via donation of property, and then creates one or more affordable dwellings on it. Affordability is also enhanced because the trust can take in donations of construction and other services and materials. Two, the trust then sells the house that sits on that land to an eligible resident at a price generally well below prevailing market rate. Three, the purchase price is more affordable because the homeowner is buying the house only. The trust retains ownership of the underlying land in perpetuity. When it sells the house, it simultaneously leases the underlying land to the buyer for a nominal fee via what is known as the ground lease. Four, also sustaining affordability. At the time of the purchase, the homeowner enters into the resale formula agreement, committing that if and when they sell, it must be sold to another eligible buyer on the trust waiting list at a price based on the seller's equity in the house plus a fixed annual percent escalation. In addition to the core structure and ethos of the CLT model, EHCHT will be shaped directly and creatively to meet specific local housing needs of and particular economic challenges faced by many year-round residents in East Hampton. With respect to how this effort will fit and function relative to the other affordable housing-related entities in town, it will stand as a distinct, independent organization and will not be direct part of the town government or municipal infrastructure. However, my intent is that it will be a key part and stand alongside all other elements of the town's affordable housing ecosystem, to use the schmancy word, and we will work in coordination and collaboration with others to alleviate the affordable housing crisis we face. EHCHT hopes to fill gaps and add value in a way that complements the work of others. Over the next 3 to 6 months, via an initial organizing committee, EHCHT will work to establish fully its not-for-profit status, its corporate organization infrastructure, and get to the point of being able to take in donations, seek grants and other appropriate funding, and to purchase property. In addition to announcing this launch generally, I am here to make 2 specific requests. First, to you, Town Board, if you see fit, would you grant me a spot on a work session agenda, perhaps in early September, for an opportunity to present more in depth the goals, the work, and maybe get your input and answer any questions? And then secondly, to the public at large, I am putting out a call for individuals with passion about the need for affordable housing and with relevant expertise to work as a part of the initial organizing committee. In conclusion, I am not going to sugarcoat it. Standing up this organization is going to be a heavy lift, and creating critical mass of housing units will be slow, but hopefully a steady build. But I've spent the last few years researching these issues and housing land trusts, and I know there is a distinct need and a path forward for this effort in East Hampton. In the town's overall call for all hands on housing, the East Hampton Community Housing Trust is here to be another pair of strong and steady hands on deck. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. It's exciting news.
Yes.
Congratulations. Okay, now I think that's all we had signed up, and now we'll take a show. David? David, would you just mind pulling the podium a little bit more so I don't think Ian could see you behind the, there we go.
Also, I can't see the clock, so I'm going to run over.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you can look over there, dude.
You'll hear the bell. My pleasure.
Good morning.
I said, we haven't had a meeting for 2 weeks, so we're a little feisty today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A public meeting. We've had plenty of meetings here.
Good morning, David Buda from the Springs. I was very heartened to see that you have put on the agenda the topic of dealing with the protection and maintenance of public street right-of-ways and eliminating unlawful obstructions, dangers to pedestrians, activities of private owners that inhibit the use of the public street right-of-way, road verge, side, the portion of the roadway that is between the edge of the pavement and the beginning of the private property owners. That is an area that is within the town's jurisdiction, clearly. Although I have to say that the existing town ordinances are paltry, few and far between. In fact, in the handout I've given you, I've done a couple of things for you. As of this weekend, I had not seen your PowerPoint be posted. It is posted now as of yesterday, so I do know what you're going to be covering today, but I put my own materials together to give you some examples of things that should concern you and things that should motivate you. One, the boulders that are placed along the edge of the pavement, which is the cartway, even when the town ordinance enforcement causes them to be removed, some landowners immediately place a row of sticks, like a picket fence, to prevent people from using what they think is their property, but is really the public's property and a place for the public to park, whether they be a guest or whether they be a service vehicle that is servicing nearby properties, so as to avoid conflicts with the actual traffic right-of-way where people traverse. Two, another issue with regard to the public street right-of-ways, and this is one that perhaps you haven't even considered, but it's an example shown in the two pictures in the middle of the first page. Some builders somehow have been allowed to totally denude the entire street road verge and to leave it bare, not even to be required to plant new trees or any plantings in the road verge. That's an example that occurred on Dogwood Drive. The first one I mentioned was on Cedar Ridge Drive, someplace that David knows well. Kings Point Road is an example. Those pictures are of long-term violations that even when reported, do not get resolved. The reality is, and this is what I'm hoping to highlight, is that your structure of the highway maintenance, highway department enforcing these rules with the existing laws that you have has been ineffective for a long period of time and needs to be strengthened with better procedures, better laws, better enforcement by people that are dedicated to improving the public's use of the public street right-of-way and the road verge areas. The other pictures I provided are pictures of boulders and plantings that come right to the edge of the cartway. And sticks and stones. It's not, for some people, it's not enough to have stones. They have to have sticks and stones blocking the road verge. And then you can see, obviously, if those impediments or obstructions, as the code calls them, are placed at the edge of the cartway, then vehicles must park there and therefore blocking the road from its usage. If you take a look at the second page of the handout I gave you, you'll have the only part of the code, and it's totally insufficient, that deals with obstructions in the town public roadways, and that is part of 255-1188, which in one sentence says, no plantings or obstructions shall be placed within any town highway right-of-way. Number one, you have to deal with the fact that roadways that are not within the town highway system and may never be added into the town highway system, those many roadways in the urban renewal map areas are open to the public, controlled by the town, regulated by the town police, and even though the highway department may not have a legal role, you must find a way to have the town be able to assert jurisdiction and prevent public dangers from occurring in those places and being able to eliminate such obstructions. One thing that you should consider doing in your next newsletter, or perhaps in the public media, as the village did in March of 2023, they published a public notice and clearly informing people what the rules are in the village. You should do the same. If you look at the last page of the handout I gave you, you have a very nice notice of violation that is very specific and very clear and very effective if it were to be enforced on a regular basis by the highway department. My experience is that it's been hit and miss. They don't either have the manpower, the time, the energy, or the inclination to uniformly, regularly enforce the rules that they know that are part of the code, that are written in their notice. This, by the way, came out of the town published documents on the town website. This is the notice of violation that the highway department uses. It's quite clear. It says why this is an issue, why it's a concern for people, why it needs to be, why the private landowners need to be respectful of the other users of the street, public street right of way, especially the road verge area. And I've said enough, and I look forward to today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Would anyone else like to address the board? Gloria? Welcome, Gloria.
Good morning. It's a few weeks since I've been here too, so I'm feeling feisty also. I'm passing out some examples.
Thank you.
You can each look at one of those and pass that on. Gloria Frazee from East Hampton, and I'm here to talk about, one guess. Composting, yes. But I'm here to talk about two things that go together, composting and community. And okay, first off, composting. With the town of East Hampton, Rewild Long Island has formed East Hampton Compost, and this is our third summer offering an array of composting options. So we've got a full menu. We've got the kitchen recycler. We've got drop-off tables and informational tables at a number of the farmers markets. We've got a couple of unstaffed drop-off locations at people's homes, and now we've also added at a couple of farms. So people are dropping off directly, the farmers are taking it and putting it directly into their compost pile. So how can we decentralize this and make it more accessible to everyone? It also puts fewer miles on your compost, on your food scraps, which also reduces the amount of trash we're putting out, whether it's the town paying for it, whether we're paying haulers to take it. So we've got less diesel, less noise, less fumes, less road wear, all of which, okay, it took me a long time to get here this morning. It's nuts. And then the way we've got it, trucks coming up and down our streets, how many times a day? So let's decrease that. The other thing that we're really doing ties back into community. What is our community? And how can we connect into the cycle in which we all participate as individuals, as a community? So as individuals, we see our vegetables are growing in the soil. They pull their nutrients and minerals from the soil. We get the benefit of them. And then by composting, we can then complete the cycle and put them back into the soil for another round. So it's so important for our health as individuals and as a community. We just had our first backyard composting sale and pickup, and it rocked. Even if I'm so busy, I didn't do a great job on marketing this one, but we had really good take up, and I'd like to do it again. Who picked up? We had puppies, we had children, we had teens, we had a couple in a Mercedes two-seater. Yes, the composter fit along with the dog. They took the dog with them. We also had Jess, who picked up in a truck. She'd already had a couple of rain barrels at home. She needed more. She got more rain barrels, could pick them up right here in East Hampton with everything she needed. Marie in Amagansett came with a tiny hatchback. We fit it in, and I'm actually going to meet her after this to see her and give her some more instructions. What we really are looking at the end of the day is the connection to each other and to our well-being. And it's this connection that is the beating heart of East Hampton. How can we foster that? How can we continue bringing people together? The next step I'd like to do with the backyard composting program is get more people involved and also bring a program to the schools where we can get donors, where we can get fabulous people to help. We're going to set up a school program and give a couple of composters to a couple of schools as a pilot to see how we can integrate it and spread the word even further for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
So I normally don't speak during public portion because it is the public's time to talk, but I just want to note that the bin sale and the rain barrel sale were at discounted prices. So
Yes,
people also save
the
money.
bins are at discount prices. Yep.
That's it. Plug,
Thank you,
plug.
Gloria.
I will need those wheels back.
Would anyone else like to address the board? Katie?
Oh.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
Katie.
Thank you. Katie Casey from the East Hampton Housing Authority. I wanted to briefly address the board and for the public's benefit to let everyone know that the Housing Authority did close on the cottages with generous support from the Community Housing Fund. That's the 2022 0.5% Peconic Bay specifically for housing. And then 1 week after we closed on the cottages, the Sag Harbor Community Housing Trust very generously cost shared with the town of East Hampton, again, Community Housing Fund, to purchase 4 more units in Sag Harbor. So the cottages is just south of the village of Sag Harbor, but for all practical, and it's in East Hampton town, obviously, but for all practical purposes, it contributes to affordable housing, not only in East Hampton, but in Sag Harbor. So those two total 13 units that are preserved in perpetuity that'll be operated by the Housing Authority. And I just wanted to thank you for your trust in us to get that done. And I also would like to speak in favor of land banking. With the cost of property out here and the, we don't have that many opportunities left. I would encourage the town board to look for every opportunity to pick up properties, both vacant and improved, that can be used as affordable housing when those opportunities arise, to use the Community Housing Fund. That is a renewable resource. Every year, more funds will come into that. And the more diverse opportunities we find, small and large parcels, to do small and large projects, to take those properties off the market, and then if they're appropriate for affordable housing, and then assess what exactly should go there. 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms, single-family homes, whether it's developed by the Housing Authority or a private nonprofit or a private developer, a for-profit developer, if it is for affordable housing. So thank you again for your confidence in the Housing Authority, and please do keep your eye out, and we all will keep our eye out for opportunities for the future to put those community housing funds to good use. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, would anyone else like to address the board? Sir? Good morning and welcome.
I'm sorry, just a note of clarification.
Could you just state your name for the record for the clerk?
Yes, Dr. Barry Leibowitz. I don't know if the clarification is, I'm here for Long Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Do I wait?
No, you could speak right now.
Speak right now?
Absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
First of all, I want to thank you very much for the traffic circle at the end of Long Lane, Stephen Hand's path. You certainly have saved a lot of injury, and as people have gotten accustomed to it, as a former person that worked in emergency rooms, I want to thank you very much. I'm here to ask that the speed limit, which is quite variable on our lovely Long Lane, be lowered to a 35 mile per hour in the entire Long Lane, except for the school where it goes down to 20. Long Lane is a very beautiful, unique, and the longest straight road that we have. And so there are many, many people that use it for walking, for running, for bicycling, etc. There are cars that really speed along Long Lane, and also the signs are very variable. They'll go from 20 to 30 to 35, and suddenly you're at 45. So we would like to see, if it is all possible, that we bring this down to 35. Interesting medically, that if you're hit by a car at 30 miles an hour, you will live. If you're hit by a car at 45 miles an hour, you will die. Well, I used to be a professor, so you're my audience right now. So anyway,
Students.
the appeal is, let's unify the rate, except for the school stays at 20, and bring it around 30 to 35. And that's the ask for the day. And thank you. very much.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning. Okay, Steve?
Hello.
Welcome, Steve.
Hello, I'm Stephen Mahoney. I live on Long Lane. I'm here to talk about Long Lane, but first I want to compliment the gardens. I want to compliment the roundabout, the composting, and the attention to right-of-ways, which are a pet peeve of mine. The speed limit on Long Lane is variable and in places too high for all the obvious reasons that Dr. Barry enumerated. There is a 30, a 45, and a 20. I think the best, in my opinion, would be to have a consistent 30, which is what a majority of a portion of the road is, so that we're not like up, down, in and out, and so on and so forth. People get on Long Lane and they see that speed limit sign, and it's just an invitation to step on it. And I know the police try and do a good job of enforcement and everything, and it's usually pretty easy for them to get tickets and stuff when they're out there. But they're overburdened and really not out there enough. So I appreciate you focusing on this, and I support the county study that they recently did on Long Lane. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay, we'll go to the phones. Jason, is there anyone on the line?
Yes, we have one caller on the line. Let me unmute them now. Oh, wait. Hold up. Hello, caller ending 3244. You're on the air. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go for it.
Hi. Hi, this is Martin Drew, Springs. Yes, I'm calling, well, first of all, God forbid me, but I'm going to agree with everything that David Buddha said for the record about the right-of-way, everything except for the acknowledgement of the Springs. I just can't wait for him to realize where he lives. Springs is where we live. But anyway, yeah, I would second everything he said about the right-of-ways. As you know, we're having a big problem with our Maidstone Park Road, which is the access to our Maidstone Park, where the commercial entity down that way has taken over the right-of-ways, most recently by violating a stop work order, pouring cement on the Richardson Avenue side. Just wondering if that's going to become our public sidewalk since it all went down the way it did. And then the reality is on the Maidstone Park side, we're going on 4 years now where it seems that you guys want to tell us that public safety is number one, but I'm having a hard time digesting that statement because of the simple fact that the right-of-way has been encumbered for the last years, even decades now, with an illegal parking lot that's been created in front of number 25 Maidstone Park Road, which is a vacant residential lot. And if you guys remember, you added the number 10 Maidstone Park Road vacant residential lot to the commercial footprint, and now everyone's acting like this is some pre-existing non-conforming condition where you brought outside dining outside. Councilman Piedmont would like to tell me that it's not an expansion of use, but it absolutely is. No matter how you want to shuffle the seats from inside to outside, we have a use going on a vacant lot that was never commercial happening now. And as a result, you've encouraged more dining to that location. And to be real about it, since everyone wants to talk about following the law tells us that in a restaurant of that capacity and that size, you need 36 off-street parking spots. So the 4 that they have that were given in the new site plan, they're not even being utilized by the residents of the apartment and the owners. Instead, they're using as an additional storage area for the problem of these other businesses that they're trying to bring there, which has you guys tied up in court. So short of the court excuses that you can't do anything because there's some sort of stay, when do we get to clearing out the right-of-ways that encumber the pedestrians and the cyclists and their safety from accessing the park? Because when I look at the deed of the park, it tells me it's the carriageway that's to be unobstructed to and from the park so people can access it by foot or vehicle but the right-of-ways are to be unobstructed. They're not to be a convenient commercial parking lot that's parking people perpendicular, adverse to New York State vehicle traffic laws to boot. And, the lack of signage down there needs to be addressed as well, because now you're confusing everyone on what the expectations are. So that site plan is now operating without a permit for the outdoor dining. So we're wondering, when do you guys going to take the law for real and act on that sort of thing? So I'll ask a direct question for Mr. Jake Turner, since none of you folks like to speak on camera. Mr. Turner, sir, what are the legal updates on that situation, and what are you going to do about getting the parking lot out of the right-of-way, and what will you do to bring law and order to our area that now has our quality of life at issue and the character of our neighborhood destroyed by greedy landlords here who want to ruin our neighborhood? And be reminded, you tore down apartments across the street, 4 apartments in some nature preserve agenda. You tore down our Cox's fishing station. So perhaps it's time maybe you convince this owner to become a willing seller so the town can buy his property and tear it down, because we're not going to live with this detriment to our quality of life and the character of our neighborhood just because politicians want to play politics with a crony. But anyway, that's my comments for today. And give my best to David. Thank you all.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, is there anyone else, Jason, on the line?
We have no other callers.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to move into our topics, and we are going to start with bids. Jeannie, if you could take us through what we're going to have on for Thursday night.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, a few items today. First, starting with the Peach Farmhouse renovation. LaDuca Associates is the apparent low bidder in the amount of $1,170,440. Next is the IA system installation at 20 Dorset Road. Ken Roussel is the apparent low bidder for that one at $66,780. And the last acceptance for bid is the Highway Department roof. Demi Construction is the apparent low bidder for that one in the amount of $315,126. Then I have several notices coming up. First is sanitation drainage improvements and the sanitation garage mold remediation, a car carrier for the town, which is for the police garage. And then next week, the East Hampton Police Dispatch Room renovations, and lastly, a grinder for sanitation. And that will do it.
Terrific. Questions for Jeannie? Nope. All right, thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a discussion of the town right-of-ways, and we've got David Leese and Kevin Cobb here to lead that discussion.
Thank you very much. As we just sort of prep and prepare. Kevin, you can just come to the podium with me and we'll work off of our sheet. Thank you, Nancy. Good to see you, Jake. Thank you. My name is David Leese. I am actually the town's liaison to the Highway Department, and today we shall have Kevin Cobb, who is the town's highway project inspector. As we've already heard in public comment, there's a lot of pet peeves, opinions, comments, and work to be done in some of our town's public right-of-ways, and that's why this is a discussion. It is a discussion that I don't believe I've ever had at the town board in my 8 years here. It's been a long time. And mostly, we're not going to be able to touch on everything in the town right-of-ways, but we're going to start that discussion and specifically talk about residential properties, the right-of-ways, and so that the property owners might become more cognizant and knowledgeable to what a town right-of-way is, what the actions that they can or cannot do in the town right-of-way, who they contact in the town if they have concerns or questions. And it's a public outreach to individuals to make sure that they understand they don't own the town right-of-ways, but we want to make sure we manage it with you correctly for public safety and other needs. So that's our discussion points. And two, this information in this presentation, we moved ahead with meetings with Town Highway Department, Code Enforcement, Town's Building Department, Town's Planning Department, and the Town's Attorney Office. I acknowledge that some would like to see greater enforcement, compliance, and other actions taken, but this is the first public discussion in a long time, and we'll continue to move forward on this. Steve is correct. I have pet peeves in the right-of-ways also, and that might be one of the reasons why we're here too. Next slide, please. For a simple discussion on the town's right-of-ways, and a couple of things have maybe potentially changed. There, sorry. Out of the town code, the town's public right-of-way is stated as any street, avenue, boulevard, road, highway, sidewalk, alley, or similar place that is owned or controlled by a governmental entity. Now, please note that there are different multiple jurisdictions within the town of East Hampton that has public right-of-ways. We're about to discuss a county road. That county road is Long Lane. Other county roads are Springs Fireplace Road, 3 Mile Harbor, Edgemere, Flamingo, and Montauk, and Westlake Drive. We also have state roads, and those state roads are 114 and also 27, but we also have trustee roads, private roads, and UR roads, and also. This is mostly a discussion about the town's right-of-ways and the town-maintained right-of-ways. Many property owners also assume that the area from the edge of pavement to their house belongs to them, and in some cases it might be, but in many, most of them are not. In most reality of the case is that a typical 2-lane road might be paved, as you might see on a very simple diagram here. Some of them might be 22 to 24 feet paved or cleared on there. But some of the town right-of-ways might be up to 50, 66, or even 100 feet wide. I believe Dolphin Drive might be 100. Napeague Lane. In my area of Tiffany Estates, it might be 66 feet wide, where if you have a 24-foot right-of-way, which means it could be close to 12 feet on each side of the edge of pavement, is in the town right-of-way. So on a typical right-of-way, there's a lot of room, and this is a discussion for us still property owners, what might be happening, knowing that in the last 8 years or more, there's been a lot of changeover then too. Next, if you don't mind. So why is a public right-of-way important? First, straight public safety. The areas of the right-of-ways are areas to pull over for avoidance when yielding to emergency responders. We just don't want to pull over a little bit, but we want to get out of their way, because as we have first responders on the town board here and others, we know that the clearer the pathways, the move over law will get our individuals to the emergencies as fast as possible and within safe means. There are also public safety issues as far as line of sight for drivers, and there's sections of the code that discuss that, and we'll come up with that also. Also, they're needed for areas for emergency response once the first responders get to those sites. These are all reasons why they're important. There's multimodal aspects to it also. Multimodal aspects in the public right-of-ways are areas where they can be or even potentially used for public sidewalks, for connectivity. The next one also is potential areas for pedestrian and bicyclists to use, as we are trying to increase our greenways out here and our public bikeways. Another aspect of it is the character of our neighborhoods. Simply, there are areas for habitat in our public right-of-ways, and when they're denuded of habitat, they're denuded of environmental qualities and also aspects of vegetation that we have come so much to crave in our local areas. Kevin, if you don't mind, can you go over some locations in the public right-of-ways for potential infrastructure and where your department might see on some of those here on the list?
Like where the...
Well, the curb cuts. If we could discuss curb cuts, public utilities, and areas for drainage.
Curb cuts, we allow asphalt, we allow stone, anything like that. Belgian block requires a permit and specifications. It has to be inspected. It cannot interfere at all with town drainage, which some people didn't pick up on. And anything else in the right-of-way, except the mailbox, should not be placed there by a resident. Can only be placed there by the highway department or a utility with a permit from us.
With coordination, correct.
Coordination.
Thank you very much. Lastly, as I stated earlier, the last line on here, please confirm your abutting right-of-way ownership on there. And that is important then too, and reach out to the appropriate municipality or governing authority. As you go into some of the common East Hampton Town code and permits that are required, there's multiple ones. If you search it right away, if you want to search sidewalks, if you want to search highway, but some of the ones that you might see, and there's more, and please contact the town, either planning department, building department, or highway department for more information depending on your project. Berms. Berms are not allowed in the town right away, actually, and that is one of the areas that was mentioned earlier by another public speaker. Kevin, public utilities. Public utilities, am I correct, as a very, all public utilities that might be needing for electrical poles, they need to get a road opening permit. And if you have a property, two property owners, and you see a utility pole, that utility pole, 99% of the chance of the time, it's in the public right of way. So your property belongs behind that utility pole. And we can show you examples of that up.
The other term for public right-of-way is utility right-of-way.
There we go.
And even in the case of us permitting a Belgian block apron, if a utility had to go through that apron, they can.
Also, what we have then is we have curb cuts and driveway aprons, as we have on here. All these need actually road opening permits from the town's highway department then too. And how does that process go, Kevin?
You simply go to the highway department. It takes 10 minutes to fill out a form. You pay the fee. It gets signed. It's emailed to you. It's quite simple.
And it's reviewed then also for making sure that the curb cut might be not within areas where there's already drainage. Fire hydrants is another one also, other utilities, and also within what potentially an approved site plan that you might have if you're a commercial property entity.
And 2 feet back with asphalt at ground level for snowplows.
And the reason why you do that is that if you had a Belgian block apron and it was touch the edge of pavement, our snowplows will go through there and would smack the snowplow, break your Belgian block, but also can potentially injure and damage the town vehicle and its driver also then too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it simple to say if I said, if you want to dig in your front yard in the right of way, stop and contact the highway department?
You need a permit to plant a bush.
Yes, so contact the highway department.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So in chapter, we also have tree donations. There's many tree donations that we have. I want to thank all of our Hamlet beautification societies. They coordinate with the town of East Hampton, and we would love to accept more tree donations. But if you're interested in a tree donation, please contact our Kevin Cobb, who will have more information there, who is our town's highway project inspector then too. One of our beautiful things that we have here, some wonderful trees, and we want to continue that. Pillars and gates are also another aspect of it. Distances from these pillars and gates are designed for emergency responders access. This is something I would like to discuss with the town board a little later, as our emergency responder vehicles are getting, let's say, bigger, right? Wider, Tom? A little taller. And it's in the town code how wide your access has to be at these locations to get, and based on the length of your driveway, to make sure that we can have access for first responders to fight any type of fire or potentially response that they need there then too. Those also need to have town approvals then too, correct?
And no matter where your property line is, you need, I think it's up to 30 feet sometimes, to get the car off the road if you're pressing your buttons for your gate.
Yeah, it's 20 feet from the edge of pavement minimally. And the reason why the 20 feet is because typically it's 20 feet or 18 feet for a length of a car.
Regular vehicle.
Chapter 217 of the town code also has other aspects of consent required for excavation and supervision, and then too, and also fees, the bonds and deposits. So you could check chapter 217 of the town code if you're a property owner that needs more information about the town's right-of-ways. Again, when it comes to commercial right-of-ways, typically they have site plans for commercial properties. There are many pre-existing uses of our right-of-ways for some of these commercial site plans, but each case is unique. Each case will be reviewed by the highway department, and we will always be looking for compliance. We understand there's a lot of ones that are out there that are not in compliance. We will look to strengthen our codes and our laws to be able to get compliance on there. Next one, please. How you can help. Continue improving. No placement of rocks, obstructions, or structures in the right-of-way. No excessive use of stakes or posts in the right-of-way. Refrain from planting in the right-of-way without coordinating with the town's highway department. Design border plantings for future growth in mind. For example, these two pictures. The top picture, you'll see of ubiquitous green giants being put in the town right-of-way, and below is another location in which those green giants, 20 years later, are now growing into the street. You can't plow that. You can't repave that.
Can't get off the road.
Can't get off the road with that then too. So be very careful with your design of your plantings on there, even if you are planting on your property, what they might do, because they will have to still be maintained. If not, the town will maintain them for you, not in a way that you might like personally then too. Or
protecting sight lines.
Because we're protecting sight lines, but particularly since we will go through and we will make sure we'll cut them back for our specific needs of the siting, that not for maybe the beautification aspect of pruning trees. No permanent parking designated for specific sites without appropriate approvals. So hence, if you want to use the right-of-way and start putting asphalt in there or some type of parking locations, that has to be coordinated with the town approvals too. Practice makes perfect. Let's protect road drainage. Install effective silt fencing and scrub rock on your construction sites. No drag out. That was town law that we just put in, I believe, 2023 also. But what happens if you don't have effective silt fencing that goes into the ground under the red line on the silt fence? Why have it? Because the water goes underneath of it. When the water has all the clay and the dirt, it then will end up into one of the town's drainage cylinders, and then the capture rate is decreased X amount on there. In Southampton, I know that they have, I believe you have to be have certified installers of silt fencing. That's something that we might want to look into, Kevin.
Yeah, I have cited properties for no silt fence, and then they call and say, okay, we put up the silt fence. It's that high off the ground. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
What is it doing?
On silt fencing, you'll see the black fencing, you'll see lines at the bottom that marks about 6 inches. They should be buried into the ground 6 inches to keep your runoff on their property. And the reason why, the town spends $300,000 annually on drainage every year, but drainage gets ruined by drag out and improper usage of silt fencing, a lot of times from construction sites also then too. So that's something that we're watching for. We want to maintain plantings and vegetation. From crossing what's called the street line. What the street line is in the town code is the line that's from a private property's front line to the road right away. It's called the street line. That's in the definitions of the town code. It's a dividing a lot and a street right away. We want to make sure we stay away from fire hydrants. We need to know where they are. I've seen fire hydrants, I'm sorry, I didn't take a picture of it, that are covered by now vegetation from a private property owner. The town goes out and maintains this, and many of the fire departments do also, but let's please be cognizant of that. Know your property boundaries. This is an important one. Review your survey. If on your survey you have stakes and property markers, and then you have markouts on there, and I'll show you the survey upcoming, review your survey, get surveyed if you don't know it. Put some boundary markers in so you know where your property line ends, and just become more knowledgeable of that. We can help you with that, or you might want to talk to your land planner. Right-of-way many times has various distances and edges of the pavements. Hence, next one on here, don't clear vegetation in the town right-of-way without East Hampton Town coordination. I know Kate and the Sustainability Committee is going to be bringing forward the critical root zone protection, like forward to get that moving forward. So that will be another level of coordination with the Highway Department to make sure no one clear cuts the town right-of-ways or protects very stately street trees also then too. And Kate, I look forward to that one coming back up. Maintain vegetation near town sidewalks. If your vegetation is going over a sidewalk, you're going over town property, and that has to be maintained. So next, I would like to go forward to some examples of impediments in the town right-of-ways. Some people might call them impediments. I might call them pet peeves. I agree. Here are some examples of stakes and right-of-ways and rocks and right-of-ways. Typically, Kevin, what will happen if you see these?
We have a flyer out that says these rocks in front of your property are on town property. They are a hazard to pedestrians, bicycles, and town maintenance equipment. Please have them removed within 15 days, or the town will remove them. That particular area in question is just violation after violation of right-of-way, and you need a bulldozer to clear it all up.
So we wouldn't necessarily do that without making sure we have an outreach there and we're looking for compliance. But if we don't get compliance, we will take the appropriate means and reserve our rights on there.
And I put a lot of flyers on houses that say, if you do not cut back, that the highway department will do it. And some people say, oh, good, let them do it. I don't do a nice job.
Yeah. But you do a nice job protecting the town right away.
Right.
Thank you. Let's go to the next one, if you don't mind. These are other examples of impediments. The first one on the left is some ubiquitous green stakes. The one on the right, what's interesting, that's a stop sign. That's a survey marker. And that's someone planting a green giant tree 30 years ago that you can't see around that tree, going onto a very busy way. You got to pull out into the traffic right now, but that is a property owner that installed that however many decades ago, but this is what happens. Please be respectful of your thoughts of your plantings on there. Next. These are an example of impediments over town sidewalks. the bushes grow over. We push individuals that might need that access for ADA width or children on their bikes into areas where it could be busier. Those will have to be always pulled back and maintained also on your own property, or the town will take a sickle bar to it. Sickle bar is just the way we cut it. Next. This is an example of a survey with encroachments, and just stay with me, follow me. The bottom right, what you'll do, you see behind this trash can on the same property, you'll see a survey stake there. But when you go to the survey itself, you'll see behind where it says line of planted cedars, you will see cast iron covers for town drainage that the town now cannot get to and maintain. You'll also see a water meter valve for a town utility, which now the water authority can't maintain on there as effectively. And in the bottom right, you'll see under the FN fence, 0.36 south, you'll also see 7.9 west. That's showing the fence is 7.9 feet west of the town, of the property line, and 7.9 feet onto the town's right of way. And if you want to go 7.9 feet and you try to mark it out, that right of way with that line of trees is probably nearly 15 feet off their property line. These are the issues that we see out there on a common basis, and at times we might have to take a stronger stance on, and that's part of this discussion where the town goes. We can have more discussions on this, but I wanted to bring this up to individuals. Next, if you don't mind. This is a new one. I didn't put it in there. I apologize. I found this one last night very late. This is a corner lot light of sign light. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Line of sight design. This is in the town code here. This specifically states that if you're planting vegetation, it's got to be at a certain degree of angle so the individuals coming up to a stop sign can see around your line of sight. This is in the town code. Please be knowledgeable. Discuss this with our highway department or your landscaper to make sure if you're on a corner lot, you have regulations that you have to abide by for sight lines also. That's also in the town code then too. Sorry, I added that one late last night.
That's good.
Is it in there?
It's a good one.
Oh, no, some of them, maybe not all. Okay, next. If you are contacted by the town, this is again, always on a case-by-case basis. Kevin, you'll leave door hangers, or you might get a letter from a different town entity, either the planning department or the code enforcement department. And Kevin, on there, what are on those door hangers that you might leave?
The door hangers, we have to revise. We are now giving them a letter that states your vegetation is obstructing, and there's boxes to check for me. Sidewalk, right-of-way, roadway. Sometimes it's all three. And after that is the town retains the right to cut or remove as necessary.
Thank you. So that's a notice there. We were looking for compliance, is what the town is. We have a coordination with town agencies that include, I guess I said, highway, ordinance, planning, building, town attorneys to assist residents on there. We know that our building inspectors will be looking at new properties, that if they are planting into the right of way, they can't be doing that. And these agencies are going to be coordinating and assisting through ordinance, but specifically through Kevin in the highway department.
My referrals now state that invasive evergreens must be removed from town property because the green giants are invasive. I know a property where they were planted on or just behind the property line 20 or 30 years ago. They are now 11 feet to the edge of the road.
Town also reserves this right. The town reserves all rights to take corrective measures to protect and maintain its public right-of-ways. Again, last page, if you don't mind. This is a coordination with the town's departments, and we just want to let the general public know about the importance of the town right-of-ways, and if you have questions. If you're unsure or to have a concern with the East Hampton Town Managed right-of-way, please contact the town's highway project inspector at the information there, or concerns with code compliance to the East Hampton Town Managed right-of-ways, contact the town's ordinance enforcement on there. Again, each aspect and each situation is unique, will be reviewed on there and worked on. But mainly, this discussion is to potentially start other discussions moving forward, but also just alert the general public and property owners, which we have tens of thousands of them out here, what their responsibilities are when it comes to their property lines and the importance to the town's right-of-way. I thank all those departments. Kevin, I thank you for your stewardship of the right-of-ways also.
We need to get out immediately. If it's a full-page ad in the Star, it has to stop. because we're trying to deal with what's already there, and we can't have more. So.
Agreed. So that's what we have. I know this elicits greater remarks. Please keep contacting us, but this is a start of discussion I wanted to bring to the town board, and I appreciate that, Madam Supervisor. Thank you, Kevin. Any questions from the board members?
Questions?
I have just a couple of comments. Kevin, before you walk away, I just want to publicly thank you for for keeping the Hoagland and the South Fork Wind developers holding their feet to the fire to make sure Beach Lane, any problems on Beach Lane and anywhere else were taken care of in the road right away. You were instrumental in the repaving and correcting any of those divots or anything that happened. Also, as the liaison to Wainscott, I see your immediately response to folks with concerns, and I hope the apology came on one of them, but I really appreciate the commitment you have to your work, and I just wanted to state that publicly, probably annoying you, but I just have a couple of comments really when on your first slide, David, when you talked about area to pull over for avoidance, yielding to emergency responders, which is critical time to save people's lives. Also, it's a critical area to be able to veer safely in terms of avoiding a car, a kid on a bicycle, pedestrians walking. Those areas are for primarily public safety, and I hope that that message gets out to folks. I just wanted to say, because we all talk about stuff all the time, that survey stake, what it does is when you see that, that is the end of the person's property, the legal end of your property. So anything towards the street of that is not your property, it's public property. Just because we always use terms as if everybody knows what they're for. I live on a street that has underground wire cabling for all utilities, and if any work needs to be done, it does need to happen underground. So this is something, if you want to avoid, another reason if you want to save money and avoid damage to the structures that shouldn't be there to begin with, this happens out in our town. We have many areas where the utilities are solely underground. Any work needs to be done, needs to be dug up. And I really am happy that you brought this forward, David. It's necessary, and I thank you.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, this is a topic I think that a lot of people have consensus on. It's one of the few actually I've had strong discussions with friends on the other way too. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about those points and where I stand on this. I think in some areas, and we even heard this today, where you have commercial establishments in the vicinity, often these right-of-ways become parking lots for people. And, that degrades, the vegetation there as well. And, that does become problematic for owners. They want their properties and, the front of their properties to look attractive. And when the ground gets denuded continually by cars parking there, they get frustrated. So I do acknowledge that. As I said to this one friend, like, look, if you put a rock there, and God forbid, someone hits that rock and has an accident, that liability is on you, not just kind of legally, but morally as well. So you have to be, considerate about this. I do appreciate that when you live close to these commercial areas, and people do park and it does kind of damage that area, that is problematic. And I think that's something we might need to look to find solutions for in different ways. But, I'm fully supportive of this. I think it really is a public safety issue. I can speak from, as you said, firsthand when we have emergency vehicles and, we need to park on the side of the road and you can't, and that's putting your first responders at risk. And additionally, trying to get into some of these locations, if we can't get the emergency vehicles in, that damages, it's a danger to you fundamentally. So do please try to adhere to this. This again is one of these things where we look for compliance. And I think, how we go about this longer term, the public messaging will be there. We'll put the letters out. We don't have to, want to have code enforcement come to you. We want you to do this, of your own will. So please consider that. Thank you.
I'm fully supportive as well. I think that, this is a frequent complaint I hear, a topic of conversation in the spring CAC meetings. As everybody's pointed out, boulders in the right-of-way are just a safety hazard. And beyond that, it's selfish. I think I've seen cases where homeowners have their right-of-way obstructed, or the right-of-way in front of their house, and then their landscapers or their own personal vehicles, they park on their neighbors. And it doesn't take much self-awareness to realize that that is inappropriate. So I fully support cleaning this up. I think it's an issue of fairness and safety, and something we need to address. As it's been pointed out, there's a lot of existing issues. So I think the first step is to make sure that we don't allow any further impediments, and that we start to address the most egregious ones that are currently out there. So I think that, Dave, thank you for bringing this. Kevin, thank you for it. I think this is sort of a public service announcement, and hopefully it's the beginning of some enforcement and cleaning up the town right-of-ways.
Yeah, and I just want to say I agree with all my colleagues, and thank you, Kevin. I mean, we do need to put the focus on this. You said, David, we haven't talked about this in 8 years. You've been on the board. I don't think we've talked about it in the 12 years I've been on the board. So I think it's an education, and I'm going to take Mr. Buda's suggestion and put it in the newsletter for the fall so that we can start having that conversation with our community members. And I also would like to see if we could address the urban renewal areas, because while the photos that are here are in the towns right away, these same issues occur, and the same public safety concerns are there. I mean, I know it's been a while since it snowed, but you have those boulders, and we get a snowstorm, and you have to veer off because a deer cut in front of you. You're hitting a rock, as Tom said. So I think that this is something I'm really glad you brought this forward, and it is we'll start with it as a public safety announcement. And then once we feel like we've got a real good education campaign going, then it's time for if folks, get put on notice, and then, we'll follow through with our public safety division and code enforcement looking into it. I see this, in my neighborhood, the issues by school bus stops, where people's trees have overgrown and kids are practically standing in the street waiting for the school bus, and it's dangerous. So thank you for bringing this.
I appreciate that, and we'll continue to work on it. Thank you very much, everyone.
And to Tom's point, I'm sorry, I should have addressed this earlier. I think there are places where it may be inappropriate to park in the right of way, but I think that the proper way to handle that is not to install a boulder or your own post, but for us to install no parking signs. Obviously, the details of that are going to get tricky. But, again, there's a proper way to do things, and putting a boulder in the town's right away is not the proper way.
And Kevin, to that point, could you possibly speak that if people do want no parking signs, if they want to go through that process, how they go about doing that?
Yeah.
And just as easily.
Kevin, if you just come.
Sure. It is a process with town board approval, I believe, state approval, highway approval. So it takes a little while. I've been asked about it. Today, there was someone who came in and said, can you move the no parking sign? We said, sure. He goes, well, it's a line of sight issue, but we also park there. So,
This is like, you can't make this stuff up column.
It is August, so anyway, so we'll continue to look at those. I think each situation is unique, and each situation should be coordinated with the town, and that's where we're trying to get out to everyone.
right.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. And Kevin, thank you so very much for your time and effort. And also, please thank Steve Lynch for his time and effort, too.
Okay. I did want to add that the diagram with the survey, we can't clean those drains because they're behind those arborvitae. And I picked up on it the minute they were planted. The guy said, I'll sue the town because there's 30-year-old cedars next door in the same line, and it was dropped.
So these are things that we're going to take our next steps towards.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, everyone.
All right, now we welcome the folks, Tim Frazier and Joan Overlock from Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Center. These are one of our not-for-profit partners that work with our young people. So thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. We're going to spend just a very few minutes talking because we have a video that I think really shows you more and gives you a sense of who we are and what we do. So first of all, the Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Center, for people who don't know, we're the only licensed nonprofit affordable childcare option on the East End, providing both all-day childcare and high-quality early childhood education. That's a differentiator between us and the Montauk school system. We're a 12-month-a-year program. Our families sign up for 12 months, and the curriculum begins for children 18 months and up. We teach and care for 100 children year-round, ages 18 months to 4 years, and that's about to change in September, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We're licensed by the New York State Office of Child and Family Services, and we're associated with the National Association of Education for Young Children. Just very briefly, I'm just going to say we've been around for a long time. We were founded in 1969 as a Head Start organization, part of the Organization for Community Action. We've been around, we then became independent, and we're the East Hampton Daycare Center, which many people today still refer to us as East Hampton Daycare. But in 2013, we renamed our center for Eleanor Whitmore, who was a key mentor in guiding us and making sure we remained focused on supporting working families and providing the educational component to childcare.
So can I just share that I just learned yesterday that I don't know when in the time frame after 1969, but the money to build the center was loaned to the center by the town, and then the center paid us back.
That's correct.
That was news to me yesterday.
And again, that is a great element in helping us keep costs down, is because we don't have.
Speak into the microphone, Tim, sorry.
That was very helpful for us in keeping our costs down, which we continually try to do, because we are mortgage-free as far as the facility. And of course, we leased a property from the East Hampton School District.
Yeah.
Which I went to.
We know.
Yeah. So today we serve a community that really needs us. More than half of our families reside in households that are considered low or extremely low income, excuse me. And almost half of our families are Hispanic. 20% of them are headed up by single mother households. So to accommodate this population, every single classroom, in each of our 8 classrooms, we have a native Spanish speaker. We provide special education services at the center for the children in occupational therapy and physical therapy and language development that we do in conjunction with the East Hampton School District. We have a fully equipped kitchen that serves 2 meals and 2 snacks a day at no extra charge to the families. And talk to any working mother, they will tell you not having to pack a lunch is a big deal. And we also, 2 years ago, we started a free clothing exchange because children grow so quickly. And so everybody can bring in their old clothes and take new clothes, which has been a tremendous success. And we've opened it up to the community once a week. And it's just been a big help. With all the retail and resale clothing places, there's nothing for children, and this is free.
You know, affordable childcare really matters. And Eleanor Whitmore, we are our childcare provider. We also have that educational element to it. But affordable childcare crisis is real. We live in a childcare desert out here on the East End. So the childcare costs today are the second biggest expense after rent and mortgages for our families. You think about that. The second largest expense, it's not feeding their families if they have children, it's not, other things, it's actually the childcare they need for their families.
Tim, could you explain that? Because I had just recently learned that we're a federally designated childcare desert.
It means that as the state of New York is specifically under the Office of Family and Child Services, look at the state as far as what kind of facilities are available for childcare throughout the state. And in Suffolk County, they have divided us up into different elements, and they actually designate different elements of locations where they have effective childcare or they have childcare deserts. There's about 3 different categories, and I can't remember all of them right now. But out here, we're designated as a desert because there's the lack of childcare facilities available to families in need of childcare in this environment, which is resort community, a lot of businesses. A lot of our families are working families who work not only one job, but more than one job in order to maintain their lifestyle in our community, as we all know. So housing is a big issue. Childcare is a big issue. And again, that's something you hear all the time, I'm sure, as a town board. And we're right in the middle of that. And so we're looking at ways to make it affordable, but also try to find ways to meet the needs in this community, which seems to be right now more for infant care and for toddler care than it was in the past, which was more of the pre-K and preschool, which a lot of our school districts have taken over in this process. So we're really changing our mode of operation right now and looking at ways to improve not only what we do, but also including what the needs in this community really are. We rely on the help from private individuals, foundations, and of course governments, and we really are extremely thankful for the town board supporting Eleanor Whitmore's Early Childhood Center in a variety of years, in a variety of ways, but mainly to help support us in our payroll and keeping our costs down, because you help us to pay our employees a decent salary and we give them decent benefits, and that helps us keep those employees in a consistent manner, which we really need in order to do a daily childcare program that we have. The second part of what we're all about is that education part. And again, more than 85% of a child's brain is formed by age 5. The first 5 years matter. That's our mantra. And again, Eleanor Whitmore was very keen on that, knowing that if children have this experience, not only socially, emotionally, but also physically and cognitively, they're going to be better prepared for wherever they go, whether it's public education or private education. We have a designed curriculum called Teaching Strategies, which is really focused on early childhood specialties of stages of development, creating habits and traits, and to make children successful learners. So it's not just about learning words, and vocabulary is so important for young children. It's about learning great habits, how to work together as a group, how to sit down and eat together as a group, how to play together in formative and informal ways. Research confirms that high quality early education narrows the achievement gap for all at-risk kids, reduces grade repetition, increases high school graduation rates, and decreases the need for special education. We have them at their youngest age. We can help look and see what things are going on, and that helps identify if there's issues that are starting early, which is a critical part. And if you ask each Hampton school district or even Spring School District, when they receive our children, they're receiving them with a lot of great habits and traits and skills for their programs. With that, we're going to show a video.
LTV is going to cue it up for us.
Be great.
My name is Mariah Whitmore. I am the granddaughter of Eleanor Whitmore, one of the founding members of the Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Center. Investing in early childhood education does more than help individual families, it strengthens the fabric of entire communities. Supporting working families signals that a community values equity, opportunity, and the well-being of its residents.
Big hug, baby kiss. I love you. Good daddy, mommy.
I saw a big change in my kid, for example, because she was really shy, never talking, and then all of a sudden she's speaking in English and Spanish and having friends and talking to her. It was a big change. It was a big change, and I was really happy because she was brought to a different level of confidence.
Learning is not an unintended consequence. It's very purposeful. It might be disguised in play or napping or having lunch together or being on time, but the children here learn how to take turns, they learn how to wait, they learn how to be kind. It's amazing to see their growth in a short time. By the time they go to kindergarten, they know the routine, they are cultured in school behavior, and they're able to learn, and they thrive because of this program.
It's like ages away.
I like your glasses, very cool.
Thank you.
What is occurring in the classroom? I see that it's more than learning your ABCs. It's about creating a safe space where they can flourish. And I see my children they're very engaged, compassionate little children. And it started because 7 hours of their day was at Eleanor Whitmore.
Jackson, play! Jackson, play!
One of the opportunities we have in being such a center in the center of East Hampton Village is that we're able to reach out to the community with a variety of different activities. One of the most successful ones has been our Kites for Kids.
My name is Myra Romero, and I'm one of the moms of the kids who assist to the center. We love it. They have so much fun. The experience for the first day, we have noticed how much they have learned.
So we're going to learn two special words today. Are you ready? Can you repeat after me? Yoga. Can you say namaste? Namaste. Hold it. 10 seconds. One leg. This is our tree pose. And if you lose your balance, that's okay. You go down and then reach back up.
I moved out here full-time at the beginning of COVID, as many people did. And I realized that if I was going to be a full-fledged member of this community, I wanted to involve myself more deeply. And that's where I found the Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Center. I have to say my favorite part about the center is Friday mornings when we have book time. The children all know that we're going to give them books, and they all rush up and hug me, although they hug me around the knees because they're only 3.5 years old. And it's pretty much the best part of my week.
So it's going to be Valentine's Day. So I brought some books to read about Valentine's. I've had a lot of fun doing very, very simple projects to carry out the theme of the books that I'm reading. Do you want to keep it all red? As soon as a child can hold an art material, it's crucial that they start making their marks. I like to demonstrate so that they just see art being made. It's very important, and needless to say, every year and up to the rest of your life, people should be doing art.
Ready? One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right.
All right, over here there are some more. Look. Yellow. Yellow is my favorite color. It's a baby tomato.
Over the last couple of years, we've created an educational garden where we're exposing children to being outside, but also in the atmosphere of learning how plants grow and how they can be a really critical part of that.
Esto no está listo todavía, ¿ok? Muy bien. It has to be this color. Good job.
If I met somebody new to the community, the first thing I would do is bring them to the school. There's the most wonderful aura in that school. There's such kindness and such joy. And the kids are so happy.
Getting to know the center and the people who work there, I felt that they have something different. And it's this spirit, this environment that they create by teaching and enjoying what they do. So early education is the best thing we can do to kids.
Bye.
Thank you. We don't do this alone by any means, and we have a lot of partners with local nonprofits and other organizations to provide all kinds of enhanced programming. And we made this decision several years ago that we would push ourselves out and have to reach out into the community. And our kids are so little that we can't actually transport them without car seats, and 100 car seats is a lot of car seats. So we've been bringing the organizations to the center, and it's been really, really successful. And all of the enhanced programming that we do, we never charge the families for these programs because we know we'd have too many families who couldn't participate. And we don't want any child to feel that they can't participate in any of this. But we do follow the needs of the community, and that's why our partnership with East Hampton Town is so important for us, because you enable us to do this. And Tim referenced it. Maybe you can pull up our budget slide. But what the funds that we receive from the town give us the opportunity and enable us to be able to remain agile for the needs of the community. You know, 5 years ago, the center had at least half of the classrooms were filled with pre-K students because we provided the public pre-K for, pre-K for the public schools. That's no longer needed by the public schools, but the town needs care for younger children. The implication for us is great because it takes more people to take care of fewer children. So what happens is as we go younger and younger, we have to increase our staffing for fewer children. And so we do charge fees. Our fees are the lowest in Suffolk County, but we still rely on those fees coming in to cover part of our operating costs. And so as our tuition base goes down, because the number of children we can accommodate as we go younger decreases, our expenses aren't going anywhere. You know, our overhead remains the same. Our staffing expenses go up. And so the funds that we get from the town allow us to be able to do this without having to cut back on quality or any of the programming that we do. So we are so appreciative for this funding every year. And just so you know, it does allow us, we had 71 families on the wait list for toddlers, and a toddler is 36 months to 4 years old, right? Oh, no, sorry, toddlers, sorry, 18 months to 37 months old. We had 71 families on the wait list. For our preschool, which were 3.5 and 4-year-olds, we had no families on the wait list. So that's just the real shift in the population. This year, this September, we will have the first ever infant class. So we'll be accepting children, babies, 12 to 17 months old. We can only have 8 in a classroom. So our largest classroom had to be turned over for infants because that's the guidelines that we have to follow. We will have 8 children in that classroom. We're buying equipment we've never needed before. We're buying cribs, we're buying baby buggies, we're buying washer and dryer, all kinds of things. And it's just, this is why we fundraise, and this is why these funds are so important. We had 51 families on the wait list for this program for 8 spots. So we're really looking at this as a pilot program this year, and we'll see what happens and if we expand it. It depends on, where the town population goes. So thank you so much for your partnership, and thank you for the time today in letting us share what happens at One Gingerbread Lane.
Please come visit us
Yeah.
at any time. I know several of you have been to see us, so really appreciate that too.
Well, the sun always shines in your building.
Yeah,
It does.
we quote you on that, Kathy. I have a couple of articles here. One, we were just in the East Hampton Star a week ago announcing our infant program, and the other is a terrific article that appeared in Slate, and it really speaks to how do you raise a child in this town? How can anybody afford to live here and to raise a child? So I can leave them.
Why don't you leave them with the clerk, with
Sure.
Carol, and we'll distribute them after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, listen, you guys provide a wonderful service, as does Project Most. I mean, I think, look, it's part of a slightly broken infrastructure system. We have pre-K, but, nowadays, especially out here, both parents are required to work in almost all households. So what is the plan for young kids? And thankfully, organizations such as yours are there to help facilitate that. So I truly do appreciate it. And I think our partnership with you is a way for government to address that kind of growing need across the town. And I think you do an excellent job in doing that. I visited the site with Tim. It really is a special place, and I think, it's going to continue to grow. We need to continue to attract young families to this area to help operate the town, be it the schools, the police force, et cetera. And, if people want to move here and have children, we need these organizations. They are critical to our overall infrastructure. So thank you very much.
We're in the process right now with our board, looking at expanding in ways that we can, given where we are and the structures that we have. But we're in the process of applying for a permit at the State Department because, again, we have to do that through the East Hampton School Board. But we're in the process of looking at putting an elevator in and open up our basement area and outside area for more activities and classroom space.
Which is the neatest basement I've ever seen.
Yeah, I also
Very well organized down there.
You raised that point twice, and I think it's worth noting that I'm very grateful to the East Hampton School District for providing that land to you. I know that they've discussed will they, won't they, and I think that they do is a critical part of the service, and I think it's part of their recognition of the need in the town.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, so sorry, Tim, Joan, I can't let you go. So I'm an alum.
Oh, wait, there's more.
There's more. So I'm an alumni of the East Hampton Daycare, as you all know, and many of the board members know also. And my kids, at least 2 of my 4, are alumni of the Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Center. So what you provided for my family, and my parents, first of all, even before a lot of us were here, allows me to be here now. And for my kids at that time, our need then too allows me to do my constant job then too. So we're all working families, but I've been there. And I still see some of my teachers from back in the day. I don't know if they really, they chide me where I'm at now, maybe in my job here, but it's something that, Tom is correct, is valuable infrastructure to the town, what you are providing in those other services. And it's something that I will always say, thank you to you both. Thank you to everyone in the past and also to the future that will run this organization.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Not done yet. So I just want to thank you for all that you do for our community and building our community, building the future of our community. I've been thinking a lot about the nonprofit organizations that help us be the community that we are, and you're a very big part of that. And the dedication to our young children is something that we all share. Also, we say government, we say the town, but I just want to acknowledge that the ability to have funding for you, this money comes from our taxpayers. So this is a total community effort. It's not just us, it's everyone. And you help everyone. So it's a really good investment for our community. And I would like to assist you in any way on expanding the care, because I do know working families single moms of all ethnic groups that, you know, now for the early care go to Montauk, but their jobs are here. So that travel a day is out to Montauk, back to work, out to Montauk, back to work, and God forbid the child needs to get picked up. So this western side of the desert, I really acknowledge that this is where we need to help folks. So thank you so much for what you do.
And I would just reiterate the comments of the previous council members. You know, what you provide, your service you provide is critical to our community, and grateful that you do it, and grateful to all the donors and people that make it happen. As Kate said, it's a full community effort, and childcare is critically important. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have our last topic is the county request to lower the speed limit on Long Lane from 45 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour. Nancy, I know you prepared a memo for us, if you could take us through
Good
it.
afternoon, everybody. Nancy Marshall, Assistant Town Attorney. So last month, the town received correspondence from the Suffolk County Department of Works about the speed limit on Long Lane, which is actually County Road 59. They had done, it sounded like a fairly extensive traffic study, the county, and as a result of that, it was recommended that any portions of Long Lane where it's currently posted to be 45 miles an hour, that be reduced to 30 miles per hour. Part of Long Lane is actually now 30, that will stay, and of course the school zone will also stay at its current 20. That recommendation from the county went through pretty much all the departments in the town, and Chief Sarlo definitely agreed to it, was all in favor of it, as was Steve Lynch. The process for this, since it is a county road, is for the town to adopt a resolution agreeing that the speed limit should be reduced in those sections, and also authorizing the town clerk to execute what's called a Form TE9. And then once the resolution is adopted, Carol would execute that form. It would be returned to the county commissioner would execute it, and then the final step would be that it would be forwarded to the New York State DOT. And then they would process the final part about getting the actual speed reduced and the signage up. We do have a resolution prepared to be put on Thursday, and once it's adopted, we can just go through that procedure I just noted. If there's any questions on it?
Board members have questions, comments?
No questions, just solely a comment that, look, I think this is a very smart move by the county, and I'm fully supportive.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive also. I think it's another aspect of the public safety that we were looking there by the use of the roundabout there, children's safety, bicyclist safety, Dr. Katz's safety every morning he walks to work and back for the last 40 years. There's a lot of that is needed there. It is a straight long lane that at the time was on the outside of the township on there, where places where I believe there used to be horse and carriage buggy races in those areas. This is a long time coming there, and I think it will show relief to the residents of that area too.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive for all the reasons that my colleagues have stated, and I think this is the part 2 for public safety of the roundabout, because I do anticipate more folks using that road now without the deadly left turn. So I think it's essential to get ahead of this. I support the 30 miles an hour.
Great.
Yeah, I'm supportive as well. I think, as we all know, speed limit and speeding comes up a lot in our CAC meetings and just general conversation with the public. I think importantly, there's been a traffic study done here. It's got support from the highway department, from the police chief. So it's a well thought out plan, and not just, it seems like people are going too fast. And so with all of that in mind, I'm fully supportive.
Okay, great.
So let's put this on for Thursday, Nancy. I should also say we had a couple of folks here speak to this. The town board also received, I think, 3 letters from residents on Long Lane, also in support of us reducing the speed limits. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, so that's our agenda for today. We can now move on to liaison reports. Tom?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Amagansett Citizens Advisory Committee meets next Monday, the 11th, 6:30 p.m. at the Amagansett School. Two topics to kind of be raised for discussion there. The first was a request for the Fire Marshal to attend to discuss the situation on Peak, which that will be taking place. Just on that note, there will also be a Chiefs meeting this evening in Amagansett that myself and the Supervisor will be attending to review that as well. The second issue, is alluded to at the start of this meeting, was the event that took place on Bluff Road. A lot of concern obviously raised by residents with what took place there. Those concerns were shared with PD. I think the key here is that it's a challenging situation whenever something like that does take place, and public safety is the most critical element. These are federal agencies, so there's limited control the town has on that. But anything that does involve local public safety, we will always take very, very seriously. IT, OpenGov update. I just want to give some updated statistics here to what we've seen via the various departments. For the building department, we've had 23,000 records created since they've taken on OpenGov this year, collecting over 970,000 in revenue and issuing close to 1,800 permits. So there's a huge amount of work being done for that in the building department. Fire Marshal, we've had 3,285 records created, collecting 44,000 in revenue, 38 inspections done there, and 154 permits. Marine Patrol, 147 records created, collecting 267,000 in revenue. Natural Resources, 15 records created, collecting 1,000 revenue. Ordnance Enforcement, 681 records created, issuing 38 permits. And Planning, 294 records created, collecting $125,000 in revenue. So obviously being used incredibly successfully by the departments and helping to increase their efficiency.
Could you send those numbers around?
Yep,
so we all have
absolutely.
it? That would
Will
be
do.
great.
Sure. The other piece to discuss here briefly is with regards to security compliance. Just a reminder to all departments as we kind of send out those reminders to take those classes, please do so. We've right now, I think, got about 88% compliance, which is good. We'd like to get that up to a very good level to ensure our continued insurance status there. Human Services, congregate unduplicated count, which is the number of people we've served at the senior center between 7/28 and 9/1 has been 104. Grab and Go for this week has been 86. The month's drawing and painting classes are scheduled for Tuesdays on the 12th, 26th at 2 p.m. We have one of our yoga instructors on vacation at the end of the month, so chair yoga is cancelled on the 19th, 21st, and 26th. And then the other thing to note here is that the benches have all been rebuilt around the walking track. Thank you very much to Isaac and the maintenance department for getting that done. Not quite lastly, Wednesday's osteoporosis prevention class is also cancelled. And then lastly, Diane Patricio, the director, is away for vacation this week. In her absence, please contact either Nicole O'Donnell or Liliana Rodriguez for any support. Fire Marshal, last weekend, I joined the Fire Marshal to do a tour of various establishments across the town. It was a fascinating process to review. We kind of walked through, checked the crowding situation. Advice was given to areas where we felt there was overcrowding going on. One thing I will speak to was I was very impressed by the professionalism of many of the establishments we did visit. They were very quick to adhere to the Fire Marshal's guidance. Some of the other issues that we did see across there, just a reminder to businesses, please do ensure, as we stated earlier, emergency vehicle access to your properties is critical. It's in your own interest to ensure that those vehicles can get into your properties. The piece that really did stand out in terms of public safety for the Fire Marshal and I was the rideshare vehicles. Again, we've discussed this across many formats. I have reached out to Legislator Welker, Suffolk County, to discuss the situation on Flamingo Road, because that's one area where we have seen accidents in the past, and there continues to be major concerns there. Sanitation, just to note, I've been receiving concerns from some residents regarding the condition and maintenance of that area. I think, as you heard from Gene Carrozza's kind of bids, we are spending a lot of money there upgrading that site. I appreciate that, it's not where some residents wish it to be. It is a sanitation center, so there's always going to be a huge element of garbage there. But I will be doing a tour of the site with some residents next week just to hear their concerns and and, see what we can improve to meet what they would like to see. Digitization, we had an internal meeting last week to discuss how we're going to move forward with some of the digitization aspects. One thing that's come out of this and from the IT department, which has been mentioned somewhat before, but it's the ownership within the town of key attributes. So which department is the go-to department for certain data points? One example being the square footage of a building. Which department owns that number? Is it the building department? Is it the tax assessor's office? So we're going to be working with all the department heads to kind of put together that list and, identify and assign that ownership as we create records going forward. Moving on. Yes, public safety. This is just one. I noticed it coming back into town today. We're in August, the first week of August. Obviously, everyone has been, working hard to ensure their business succeed. The strains of summer, I do think, are beginning to show, be it litter in the streets or just general operations, general safety. Please continue to operate at your best. It's in everybody's interest to do so. I know it's challenging this time of year. People begin to get frustrated with the endless kind of frenzy, but we have to ensure we're doing that. Wildlife management, we're seeing turtles crossing. Please, if you do see a turtle crossing, if you do wish to help, pull over safely, identify the direction the turtle is moving, and, help it move in that direction. Don't move it back. Additionally, as we're going to start to move into the fall season, we're going to start to see more deer traffic on the roads. Obviously, that's been a major issue across the years. Please be careful as they begin to migrate through town. We continue to operate for the tabletop exercise in emergency preparedness. We'll be meeting with some of the committee members and the emergency coordinator later this week to review that. And then lastly, the YMCA, we'd received some public feedback with regards to handrails in the pool area. I've spoken with the YMCA and identified, that's something they will be looking to install in the coming months. That's everything for me.
Thank you, Tom.
Briefly, I want to let everyone know updates with the Cantwell Court. We have utility installations been happening in the last couple of weeks. They should be hopefully complete within the next 2 weeks. That was one of the timeliness of delays that we've had on that project then too, but that's moving forward steadily right now as such a critical pathway there then too. I want to let everyone know that in Montauk, we were fortunate to receive a grant from the $100,000 from Suffolk County. This goes towards the Westlake Boat Ramp Stormwater Abatement Project that we discussed here. We're still trying to target an installation of potentially early winter 2026. I want to thank the town board for the support on that, also with Kim Shaw and also Sam Klein for putting that application in, and again, hence the county for the grant of $100,000 towards that project then too. That's all good news. I want to thank the town board, everyone, for coming out to the ribbon cutting for the Stephen Hans Path multi-use field. The field is being used by the general public. And I look forward to the next steps, looking at parking and also into pickleball installation. It is truly becoming a wonderful facility at the Fred Thiel Recreational Facility then too. But I want to thank the town board for your time of your day and coming there. It's greatly appreciated then too. You should stop in there sometime. You'll see people playing soccer on one side and then baseball on the other side. Is just pretty neat for me.
David, thank you to you for getting that done. It's really amazing.
It's, as I said, there's no I in team, complete teamwork, if you want to use that metaphor here, and we all did it. So I appreciate that, man. It's fun to see. Okay, so moving on to two other things here. We had the Montauk Citizens Advisory Committee met last night. We were to have a presentation by CCOM, but they canceled last minute there. I believe they might be coming in September. Some of the discussions were about water authority. I know Suffolk County Water Authority has requested to use less water on irrigation and such. Please try to conserve your water this time of year. Again, there's a public safety element to that also then too. There were discussions and comments about music permits, and specifically about how they're read and for compliance, and also about bass. It seemed like the discussion was all about the bass. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone listening. And that it was about how a bass might be lower and thumping instead of high treble, and how that affects noise readings. So that might be a discussion point we can have later on. And two, I want to let everyone know as we continue to move forward to the Playhouse, to the ceremonial ribbon cutting for next week, which is great news, that some of the other key components are actually coming into completion out there, including the Sally Richardson assisting with the installation artwork on there, the epoxy floor decking, other options that Steve O'Brien and his staff are doing in the older section, I want to say, to make it look sparkling for everyone upcoming then too.
I heard furniture was getting delivered today.
You are right.
We're going to have chairs to sit on.
Oh, it's something.
At
Yeah.
the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, they're a lot of, it's you could be a shepherd of things, but it's tough to be a closer on certain things.
Yeah.
And this one's a big project for the town. And to close it, we're getting super close to it. I look forward to showing everyone seeing it. Again, that is next Friday from 2 to 4 o'clock at the Playhouse. Let's see here. Also in Montauk, I want to thank the county. And maybe a pat on the back to Legislator Ann Welker and also to us as a town board. There's a new bus shelter out there. Showed up and it's in place. The old bus shelter that was out there had some, it was past its prime. Let's just say that, right?
Saw better days.
Yeah, so a lot of use and better days. This one is brand new out there, so I want to thank the county again for working with the township there. Tonight, this is what I want to leave everyone with. I also want to thank Legislator Ann Welker, Legislator Stark, and others. Tonight, there's a public hearing on tonight at 6:30 for the working waterfront legislation, which is something that the town board has been supporting moving forward, trying to protect our fisheries industry. It is Resolution IR, Introductory Resolution IR 1520. Anyone want to make a public comment on that can call the phone number at 631-853-3685 at any time before midnight tonight, or sorry, the end of closing of the public hearing tonight, which is probably about 8 o'clock. Again, 631-853-3685. Please tell if you're in favor or not in favor of protecting working waterfront in our fisheries. And then please note that we state that it's IR 1520. I will go up there on behalf of the town board to show the town board support for our fishing industry. And with that, that's all I have.
Great. Thank you, David.
Kate? Yes, I was unable to attend the Wayne-Scott CAC meeting this Saturday, but they are continued, like all of our hamlets, to be impacted by speeding along the residential streets. For Wayne-Scott, the particular issue is that every navigation system, et cetera, brings them into small community streets to avoid traffic on the highway, which impacts everyone's safety and quality of life. Those discussions continue. There was a mention of an open gate at the gun club that brought up some rumors about the gun club, and I had sent my liaison report to Hersey Eggington, who is the chair of that group, to read out to folks and let them know that they were asking about, has there been a change in status of the gun club? And there has not been a change in status. So I wanted to put that out there as well. And of course, the airport continues to be an issue for the Wayne-Scott folks, as they are the primary impacts. They absorb the primary impacts of the noise. Also, they are interested they will be very interested in the right-of-ways, because that is also, I think it's probably across this entire board, CACs and neighbors and ourselves, as what we see happening in there. And I think over time, this idea of planting in there has actually developed. So I think we're responding to current conditions today rather than what we saw in the past. The Sustainability Committee will be bringing forth, as David mentioned, tree protection, street protection recommendations, tree protection recommendations, and I think I'd like to to see them come in as soon as possible on that. So I'll be submitting some dates to them for a work session that perhaps they can come to and open that up with. The Litter Action Committee, and action certainly is appropriate for them. They are working on PSAs again for some local radio stations that we do, and also information for September 20th, which is National Cleanup Day. They are getting their collateral, their literature materials, their educational materials out on that day. East Hampton has declared cooperation with the national, and actually I believe it's International Cleanup Day, where we've declared the third Saturday in September as the cleanup day. This year that will take place on September 20th. Everyone is invited to sign up and participate. We'll be sending out social media blasts, and also they have an email going out to all organizations, neighborhoods, folks. Anyone can join up to participate on the September 20th National Cleanup Day. Also, when they presented in front of the board, they had asked about permission for signage about securing your load at the recycling center. They've just delivered those signs to me, and I'm going to ask, I'll send David you an email as well with Parks to be able to put those on boards. And
should just copy Tom and I.
And I'll copy Tom as well for sanitation. And I believe the grant committee for the New York State Resiliency Grant for the Montauk study area, we were to have our meeting, the selection committee reviewing the RFPs. Unfortunately, one of our members had a business emergency. And again, this just reminds everybody who's on these committees, and was unable to attend, so we adjourned because we want that valuable input. And so with other members having some vacation time at the end of August, we'll be reconvening in the first week of September to finalize selection and bring recommendation to the town board. And also I'm thrilled to note that we have received our New York State Department of Environmental Conservation permit for the ditch dune reconstruction, and that project will be moving forward. We're finalizing the easements with private property owners, and we will be then going out to RFP. David will be then taking over construction, as he has so generously volunteered to do.
Did I miss that meeting?
I'll send it back to you to recall it.
I think you're being very humble here right now, Kate, what you were able to just accomplish now. To be able to go through a large-scale design of a nourishment project out there, but also get the permitting and everyone on board with this then too, is a Herculean effort. So congrats to you and the team also on that there, Kate.
But yeah, team, that's the key point.
And we still have that big $2.5 million check in our office from the governor to help fund that effort.
Yes. So yes, yeah, bring it to the bank, the big check. And that just emphasizes how it really does take a big team to get things done. And coordination. Thank you. And just lastly, I would just thank community member Jane Meering for starting a housing trust. I think that's a daunting project to take on, but also to help with community housing needs is critical in these times. Any and every effort is appreciated. And again, I just constantly want to remind everyone and ourselves how important it is to have these types of community organizations in East Hampton. And if we want to talk about what makes East Hampton special and great, these are the organizations that do it. So just a big shout out to everybody, and that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Kate. Ian?
Yeah, well, I'll start where Kate left off. I was very happy to see Jane Mering's public comments today. I've spoken with her about the East Hampton Community Housing Trust in the past. Didn't realize she was going to speak on it today, but I think that this is a wonderful thing. Affordable housing is one of the biggest needs that our town has, and I think as we go into the future, it'll become only more important and frankly more difficult. So we need all hands on deck. I think I'm very pleased to serve on this board where all 5 members are passionate and thoughtful about this and work hard to do what we can. It's a big problem. We can't do it all ourselves. So the fact that there is a, private, initiative to also contribute is just fantastic. I think we have to look at the need, the cause we're all trying to get behind, and not be sort of what we can do, but what we can do as a community, not just as a board. So basically, all hands on deck is absolutely great, and it also gives people an opportunity. I speak with people in the public all the time who are recognize this is a problem and ask how they can help, and this might be a vehicle for private donations, private funding to go beyond what we have through the funding we provide as a town. Proud of some of the programs we do ourselves. The first-time home buyers have been great. I think we have talked recently about moving forward with financing ADUs. I'd like to bring that to a work session perhaps later this month or soon. We did speak about that at CHAB, a Community Housing Advisory Board meeting last time, and they are fully supportive. I also want to recognize, Katie Casey's, her comments from the East Hampton Housing Authority. Closing the cottages is great. That's an example of preserving existing affordable housing. So we're not doing more development, but we're preserving existing housing and contributing to that cause. On the other hand, the 114 project that I know is moving forward, with help from the town, but also the Housing Authority initiative, is a great project that I'm very, very excited about and can't wait to see that progress. So just wanted to highlight that. I think that this is one of the biggest things our town faces. And, I think we all have to acknowledge that the problem, frankly, is probably bigger than we can solve this year or next year or this decade, but all of these little things make a difference. And I don't want anybody to be dejected. I just really appreciate that there were 2 sort of positive, constructive speakers in the public comment wanting to help solve this issue, and that excites me very much. Another thing that excites me is the history of our town. I was able to attend the Miss Amelia's Cottage 300th birthday party a week ago last Saturday, and I want to thank the Amagansett Historical Society for putting that on. It was What's that? Association, I'm sorry. Thank you. It was a lovely event. I'd actually never been inside of that cottage, which was a super cool place. They had the carriage house, one of the carriage houses open. And I think it just goes to show how much history we have in town. Again, 300 years, that's older than our country. And so it was a very nice night, and thank all involved for making that happen. Along those same lines, the Springs Historical Society, I've mentioned this before, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary and have all sorts of programming and exhibitions going on. They also do things such as Mahjong on Wednesday nights, or Wednesday afternoons from 1 to 3:30 at the Springs Library. Check out their website for upcoming events. There's many throughout the summer and fall. And yeah, the blacksmith shop will be open later this month. I believe that the date is August 23rd. I'll remind you as that comes closer. That's another building that the Springs Historical Society has spent a lot of time cleaning up and getting in good shape. And I encourage anybody who hasn't been there to check it out. They're open on one Saturday a month that coincides with the farmers market. So it's a great day to get out there and visit and see all that our town has to offer.
Thank you, Ian. Okay, so let me start first with the East Hampton Town Police Department weekend activity. This is from Friday through Monday morning at 6 a.m. There were 271 calls for service. There were 6 total arrests, 2 for DWI, 2 for harassment in a domestic incidents, 1 for assault in the 3rd degree, and 1 for reckless endangerment. There were 20 residential noise complaints. We didn't get any commercial noise complaints this past weekend. 2 accidents and 19 aided cases, and the Montauk Lighthouse concert went off without any incident, which was a big event. We did last week put in 2 grant applications. One was discussed at a work session in Montauk. That was the natural resources inventory. We submitted a grant application to the Climate Smart Communities Program for $200,000 to hire a team of experts to develop a townwide natural resources inventory. We also put in an application with the town as the sponsor, but we worked with the East Hampton Housing Authority for the Route 114 new housing development. This application was for $4.1 million, and this is to fund critical infrastructure improvements necessary for the development of 50 new housing units at the 776 and 780 Route 114. We're grateful for, in both applications, for the letters of report we received, and we expect, the expected award notifications are in November of this year. We've invited Samantha Klein, our grants coordinator, to come to our third meeting in August, the one when we're back here in the main meeting room, to give us a second quarter grants update, and she'll get into more detail. Last night, we had our East Hampton Sag Harbor CAC, and the CAC unanimously supports the speed reduction on Long Lane. They also decided to make the meeting a good news meeting and discuss topics that they're grateful for, what's working right in our area, local initiatives they want to support, and positive changes happening in East Hampton town. So they kind of went around the table, and I just wanted to share with you, I felt like it was a mini focus group of what folks in East Hampton Sag Harbor CAC are grateful for. It includes the new roundabout, although, yeah, no. The new East Hampton emergency room here. One of our members has spent her career in affordable housing and putting financing deals together for affordable housing. And she went on about the town's commitment to affordable housing. And she said she has never seen a town with the commitment that we do. We also had one of our members talk about, he wanted to thank the East Hampton CAC, the town, and Suffolk County for their support of our immigrant community and our folks that are documented. These are tough times that our community members are living through, and he especially noted the meeting we had in early February when Chief Sarlo was here, and wanted to let us know how, it was actually got quite emotional, how supported he feels. Then we had one of our members talk about the town's outstanding senior programs, the nutrition program, in-home services, senior transportation, and wellness classes. And one of the members said, you know, and her new body by Zumba, because she goes to Zumba 3 days a week. And then one of our members talked about the Ryan family and their mission to waterproof our community. This past weekend was the junior lifeguard tournament, and on Sunday, both Ann Welker and I went down. The county gave a proclamation to Mr. and Mrs. Ryan for their contributions to our community, including, I guess, John had 2,500 calls as an EMT, and his wife had 5,000. Wow. And they wanted to recognize that. Tomorrow, the East End Supervisors and Mayors Association are meeting in Riverhead. David, Councilman Lease is joining me, as Colonel Young from the Army Corps of Engineers will be speaking. He's on the agenda for tomorrow, so we figured better to just, we've got a great working relationship with the Colonel and his team, and it'll be nice to break bread with him. I also wanted to mention on Saturday night, there was an event, the Amagansett Village Improvement Society honored Joan Tulp. Those of us that know Joan, she has been a member of AVIS for 55 years, and most of those years she was the co-president. She is, some call her the honorary mayor of Amagansett. It was a packed house at the event, celebrating her achievements and all of her efforts to keep Amagansett vibrant, but also all of the other organizations that she's been involved with. And then lastly, I just wanted to say, this is kind of breaking news. Today, the town had its debt sale. We were looking to finance new debt and refinance existing debt totaling $25 million. As you know, Moody's has just recently reaffirmed our AAA credit rating, I guess it was the 9th year in a row. And in the words of capital markets, these are fabulous results. Bonds, the rate is 3.09%, and bands, which are bond anticipation notes, are at 2.68%. Capital markets states that they have not recently had a band percentage lower than 2.7 for a one-year issuance. The town received 15 good faith deposits and 11 actual bids. This is excellent news in that there is a lot of interest in the town's debt, which is a good thing. And the town is fortunate to continue to yield positive results at its annual debt sale. I guess what our folks at Capital Markets said is people like to own a piece of East Hampton. So it was great that there was so much interest and we got such solid rates.
Well, I think you're being humble also, because a lot of that comes through your conservative budgeting and also the finance department then too, moving that ahead. Even in the tough times, we're still seeing when we need to go out for capital expenses like this, we get the best possible rate for the residents possible. So kudos to you.
Thank you. No, it's great for all of us, and it's great for our taxpayers. Okay, so now we are on to resolutions. Tom, you're first.
Yes, thank you. I'll start with Resolution 2025-1033. This is for the Wellness 60+ drawing and painting instruction. Be it resolved, the Town Board hereby approves 11 afternoon drawing and painting instruction classes at a total cost of $1,100.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'm happy to offer Resolution 2025-1034. This is to terminate seasonal lifeguards in the Recreation Department effective retroactive to May 18th, 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 1035 is authorized payment for a prior year invoice to Environmental Services Incorporated for the amount of $436. Yes, $436 for pump outs.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 1036 is authorized payment to National Grid for 2023 and 2024 invoices in the total amount of $478.12.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 1037 is a supplemental proposal for LK McLean for the Edwards House, in which they needs additional plans. The town has requested a broader scope, which includes septic and HVAC. The additional cost is not to exceed $23,300.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 1038 is amend Chapter 182, Town of East Hampton Nature Preserve, where the town board held the public hearing on July 17th, 2025, to consider the law. The town of East Hampton now would like to move forward on accepting this law and codifying.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Page 19.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving forward here to 1039. This is the water quality grant extensions, where the town is authorizing the grant extensions for the first project would be the New York State Center of Clean Water Technology. This was for our wastewater treatment improvement. The second would be for the Springs Presbyterian Church, also for our wastewater treatment improvement. And the third was the project sponsor was Montauk Shores Condominiums, also for our wastewater treatment improvement.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 1040 is for Sag Harbor Christ Church, was the town previously authorized modification of the contract, but the costs associated with the sewer pipe connection to the treatment plant without altering the total grant allowance of $143,860, whereas unforeseen circumstances have prevented the grant recipient from completing the project, the original contract period. The additional time is necessary to finalize the church's connection to the sewer treatment plant.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1041 is the approval of various special events for July and August 2025. The full list is contained within the resolution.
I will be recusing myself from this vote.
Okay.
Second.
Can we have, oh, sorry. Ian. Can we get a roll call?
Yeah, but we needed a second. So
He seconded it. Okay.
Aye. Recused.
Aye.
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 Resolution 1042 is to amend Resolution 2025-967, and this is to a correction on the location and streets mentioned in this resolution, which was to move the driveway access to the parcel from Fort Pond Boulevard to Corbin Avenue, with said driveway being no closer than 50 feet from the intersection of Eau Claire Street and Corbin Avenue, except as amended. The requirements of Urban Renewal Map SP1-1 will remain in full force and effect.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1043 is to extend Resolution 2025-795 and a budget modification. And this is regarding to the hiring of Richard Vacchio in the building department. That resolution is extended to December 31st, 2025, and on an ad-need basis at the same weekly rate set forth in the resolution, retroactive to July 24, 2025. So that would be a decrease from full-time salaries in the amount of $15,000 and an increase in subcontractor costs in the same amount.
Second.
Discussion, if you don't mind. I think this is very important to note that the town board and yourself, Kay, are doing everything possible to make sure that we staff up the building department with qualified individuals. Rick Vacchio is one of those qualified individuals. I thank you for bringing this constantly forward to the town board then too.
Thank you, David.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1044, this is a refund for various permits to Peter Salerson in the amount of $105 for a recycling duplicate permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-1045 is a bond. We're amending the acquisition of 66 East Lake Drive. And we are amending the bond resolution adopted November 1st, 2022, relating to the acquisition of vacant land located on 66 East Lake Drive, Montauk, for the purpose of the preservation of open space and water quality. What we wanted to do here is extend the period of probable use, the PPU, from 5 years to 30 years.
Second.
Can I get a roll call, Carol?
Aye.
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 Aye. Resolution 2025-1046 is to authorize payment of a prior year invoice for the town attorney's office, and this is to Robert J. Ponzi per two resolutions we had done earlier, and this is in an amount not to exceed $4,608.90.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1047 is electronic measuring device forensic mapping training course, and this is for officers in the East Hampton Town Police Department. Detective Sergeant Frank Sokolowski and Sergeant Patrick Royal will be authorized to attend these events and conference with the financial impact of $1,800.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Back to David.
I am so sorry.
I don't have the list.
Okay, so I have Resolution 2025-1048. This is appoint student intern 2 in the aquaculture department, Christian Sigua, the retroactive to August 5th, 2025 at an hourly rate of $20.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1049 is appoint seasonal lifeguard to the recreational department, Lily Mongan, at an hourly rate of $26, retroactive to August 2nd, 2025 as a senior lifeguard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1050 is appoint seasonal employee in the recreational department, Brandon Kennedy, as a recreational aide, an hourly rate of $17.85, retroactive to August 5th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1051, this is a permissive referendum to revise Resolution 2025-661 for affordable housing sale of 50 Thomas Ave. This is because the resolution omitted a small tax back number that's part of this transaction. It was depicted as on the survey as the premises, but the revision just to note that in the resolution.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Resolution 2025-1052 is to appoint part-time security guard James Frazier. James Frazier is appointed to the part-time position of security guard and will report to the town supervisor at the hourly rate of $27.50, effective retroactive to August 5th. I just want to welcome Jim. He's out here today. He recently retired and served in the town's police garage for almost 40 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1053 is to amend 2025, the 2025 CSEA Schedule A to add Senior Citizens Transportation Coordinator. The CSEA Schedule A is hereby amended to reflect the addition of Senior Citizens Transportation Coordinator as a grade 22 with a schedule of 40 hours per week, effective August 6, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1054 is to authorize transfer for the YMCA reserve and budget modification. So this is per the recommendation by Town Maintenance Supervisor Stephen O'Brien that an air conditioning compressor is needed. So we're going to increase appropriation of reserves from the YMCA fund in the amount of $28,108 and increase building improvements for the rec center in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's all we have for today. Do I have a resolution, or a motion to go into exec session?
Yes, I make a motion to go into executive session for personnel, CPF, contracts, and public safety.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and thank you.